importance, the whole idea of Netilas Yadayim, continuing in Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, Siman Beis. Remember the Mavusta Maisa, a famous story with the soldier that took Achlata to wash his hands for Soda, and it's a story that was brought to the Rebbe. I believe that the soldier went out of his tent, he went out of his way to find water for Netilas Yadayim to wash before he went to eat the bread, and while he was out of the tent, they threw a missile and it saved his life. The idea of washing hands for a Suda, here we're talking about the idea of washing in the morning. In somebody washes his hands in the morning and he doesn't know, he's masupik. If, right now when it comes to davening, if from then till now, it was his hands got in touch with something which minadin, he would have to wash a second time. Because he had hesech, because from the morning till now there was a day of hesech hadas. He wasn't totally concentrating that maybe his hands shouldn't scratch his head or something like that. And an average person on a regular day touches his head between 700 to 1,000 times without him even realizing. That's what they say, scientifically proven. And even if he was learning b'shas ma'aseh, he did maidani, he's learning chassidus, and he came to davening. Of course, he went to mikveh, he did all his achanis. Still, because he had hesech hadas, he wasn't paying attention to make sure that his hands shouldn't touch any other place. Min hastam, he has to wash again before davening. צריך גם כן לרחוץ במים לצריך תפילה, he has to wash again for davening. בזין צריך לחזור אחרי המים דווקא, you don't have to go out of your way to find water. שאם אין לו מים מזומנים ואם יחזור עליהם יאחר תפילוס, הציבור לא יחזור עליהם. If he doesn't have water right now, there's no sink where he's found, and he's going to miss davening, so he doesn't have to be matach himself to find water. Mashma afילו im lo ya'achar tefillas ha'tzibur einli tzarich לחזור אחרי. It's mashma according to the Alter Rebbe, even if he won't be ya'achar, he won't miss mat tefillah, he still doesn't have to go out of his way, he doesn't have to matrech himself to find water to wash before davening. Ela menaki yadu b'chomin de menaki mispalim tzibur. The Beit says that you could rub your hands, wipe your hands on anything around, and it's good enough, and you could daven. It's very important that a person should be careful and try to put an emphasis and effort to daven together with the minion. It says in the pasuk that the davka in the time of davening, when a person is davening with the minion, this idea of Yisratzim. Besides the pasuk of Anis Filasi, there's another pasuk that says Koyom Aravaya. The Eisratzin will answer you. That if there is a rabbin, if there's a minion, even if there's a rishayim in the minion, the Eibusher doesn't get disgusted from the tefillah of a minion of a rabbin. Bederech, people that go on the way, he comes to the place where he's resting for the night. Like we mentioned, if he could go in front of him, on the traveling radius in front of him, for a meal, and in that place there's a minion. If he could get there while it's still daytime, and he won't have to travel at nighttime, whether it be on the way back or whatever it may be. He has to go 4 mil in front of him, and behind him it's a sheer mil to daven with a minion. Until a mil, and not including that mil, up to 1 mil. The same idea would be if somebody lives in a yishuv, in a place where there is a minion in the radius of a mil, he has to go and daven with the minion. And even more so if somebody's already right now in the place where he is in with a minion, and he has to go somewhere else, and he'll get to that other place while it's still daytime. He doesn't have to leave right now, befrat when he's already in the place with the minion, and he'll get there by so he shouldn't leave where he is right now, with the place with the minion. Halacha tes mitzvah gedel is probably basic. It's a big mitzvah to daven in the shul, or be based on medrash or in the base medrash, in the yeshiva, whatever it may be. Shem mekemes mekudashim. These are holy places. These are little mikdash ma'ats. Afילו in the form mizdam change on minion. And even if there is a scenario, there's no minion, it's good to go there and daven because it's a makom kaddish. Even if it has to be b'yichidus, it's still good to daven there. Because they're holy places. Beis hamedrish hakavul l'rabim mitzvah l'yispal sham yosim lebasik nesiyos. A beis medrash l'rabim is a greater mitzvah of davening in a beis medrash more than in a shul. Afילו ein b'yiroi v'am k'moi b'beis knesset, which yispal basara, even if there is no roi v'am. It's more kedusha in a beis medrash, more in a beis knesset. But this is dafke, the daven in the beis medrash. Alter Rebbe writes, it's dafke when there's a minion. We're not telling you dafke to stam go to beis medrash and daven there. If there's no minion in shul and there's no minion in beis medrash has more kedusha. If you're going to have a minion in shul, you're not going to have a minion in beis medrash. We're talking about going to shul and not davening in beis medrash. If there's a minion in beis medrash and there's a minion in shul, and b'derech klal, the person doesn't usually go to shul, so he should have it in the beis medrash with the minion. And somebody that he learns in the beis medrash, he should daven. If he learns in the beis medrash, he should also daven in the beis medrash. He shouldn't leave the beis medrash and go to shul. Even though that in his shul, in his city, there are also shuls. But if somebody's derech is not to learn in the beis medrash, he should try to go to matriach himself. If it's a tirche, whatever it may be, he should go to shul, because the idea of davening in a shul is b'reivam hadras melech. If it's shaykh, then he could go to the shul which is further away. There's this idea of schar psis. As I state in Halacha L'maisa, I don't know if people are noig makbid in this hayim, but there's the idea of schar psis. I think we're zeiche by talucha to be yaitze alle shittis, alle svaris. Omer Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi says, Lo Elohim yashkim odom lebeitzak nesses gdei shimnem masara rishonim. She'afilu meyo boyim acharav neitel schar keneged tchunim. Which is Paul Shami Moim. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi says that if somebody's going to daven in shul, he's going to be with them with a minion, he should try to be one of the asara rishonim because he gets schar keneged all the people that come after him if he's part of the first 10 people. Oy domer Rabbi Seinu zichrein levracha. Kol shoylach shachris v'arbus v'beis knesset zayda beis nemedesh v'zman aroi misachei resham karoi. Another thing we bring down in the Chazal, we find in different places in Gemara. There's also stories in Gemara. The idea of hashkim v'harim aleim v'im kolim aleim. The idea that you didn't go and they daven and they learn. They come early to shul and they be ma'acher and they go out of the shul late. They're ma'idich b'tfilah. They come early and they leave after. Not right after davening, they come, they daven, they do their avodah, their ma'idich in the davening. So there's this idea of and the people have in shul, they have this idea of kedusha karoi, they respect the shul. Zeiche la'arichus yomim, they're zeiche having a long life. They ksiv ashrei adam sheimei lishkoi la'adlos oisai yem yem lishmei mezuz b'zochai ksiv basrei ki meitze matzachai. People actually woe are to the people that they watch and they're shaky, they're being busy and they're surrounding, they're always next to the doors of the Eibishter, which these are the shuls and the Bas Midrashis. They watch the mezuzahs, and after that, these people will find life. So there's side this idea for the person, and there's side the idea if there's oivim, if there's menagdim, that they will fall away from you by itself. You don't even by this that he comes to shul and he's act respectfully in the way that he's supposed to be in shul. He comes early and he leaves late to shul. when he's in shul. Yod yesh le'la'adam likbay b'beis knesset b'beis hamedresh yishba'al sham b'piyus. Gam yikbay sham makim yuchad l'tilasi. Sayish b'kavei shul, sayish b'kavei makim in shul. Doesn't mean that when you come for Tishrei from Eretz Yisrael or from I don't know where, all these different ideas. People say they have a makim kavua, and there's this idea of a harap rice that is naz. They have your makim kavua. It doesn't mean that makim kavua is you have your shul, you have your makim kavua. This is where you daven, and anywhere in the Dal Ramis is also makim kavua. There are those poskim that say that if you could be around and you see your makim kavua, it's also makim kavua. And if you're in that shul, it's also, there's no, if it's not going to come to Machlek, this is coming from a Gam Pasha, they ain't kind of makim. Chol toich arba ameis dechad makim chashu toivim yochel likbel loy makim eitzel akiri kidemotzinu b'cheskiyahu hamelech. You find the Cheskiyahu hamelech, it's better to find your place, especially in the shul next to the wall, like we find it said, he turned himself, he faced the wall, and he davened to the wall. His makom was dafki next to the kir. It's important and careful. You shouldn't stand or sit next to somebody which is a Rosh and davening. When a person davens in his house, also you can buy. Should have a set place to daven, that he shouldn't be mixed up and disturbed from his household. We bring down psukim, this idea to run to the mitzvah, to the dvar mitzvah. We're not going to get into the gedder of Shabbos, if you're allowed to run on Shabbos, if it's the shul. What the Bechlados we're talking about in Shabbos, it's not a problem. But here the Nukud is running to the Dvar Mitzvah, the Chlal in general. Afילו b'Shabbos, even on Shabbos, to the Dvar Mitzvah. Avo, Teich b'Azikon is based on Madrsh, is also loaded. If it's in Shul Gufa, it's forbidden to run in Shul itself. To Shul, to a Mitzvah, you're allowed to. Even on Shabbos, you could run to the door, but when you come to the door, you should stop for a second, come in. You have to have this idea of pachad, fear to the Eibishter. Wait a second before you come to Shul. Yisra, Yiftach, Yivchad, Mehadar, Goina, Yisbarush, Mei, Yei, Mara Pasuk, Van Libre, Chastuch, Game, Shu, Kamoine, Tilas, the Shus, Vachagai, Chonis, Yelech, Beimo, Vira, Kahilach, Amelech, Yimer, the base of the Kin, and the Halach Baragish. Here he brings down this idea that when a person comes into Shul, he has to prepare himself and he has to have this inner of Pachadira. Before you come into Shul, arouse upon yourself this idea. You're coming into the Heichel, you're coming into the Melech's place. And the Alter Rebbe says this idea that you should mention the peh with your words, Beis Elikim Nahalach Baragish, and everybody knows there's this famous Rosh Tevis of Barad. Baragish is Barad, Reish, Gimel, Shin. You have the idea of Sheleg, Geshem, Ruach, Barad, Ruach, Sheleg, Geshem. No matter what will happen, we'll always go to the Eibishter's house, basically Kimnalach Baragish. The Kilish Yesh La Yehudim Rechayves Bifnei Atzmon Mitzolis Atik Betitis Laniach Tfilim Bebesak Yelech Ken Bebesak Knesset, in a place where you're in a Yiddish situation, the surrounding, the whole shtetl is Yidden, and the streets are Yidden and the clean streets. So it's a roy that a person should put on his talis until in his house, and he should go with his talis until already on to shul. If a person is living bein umois akum or malkemes mutunov, so shmek darten, there's a reich nichayach over there, so it's not respect for the tefillin. And therefore, he shouldn't put on tefillin in his house, as I stated in Shulchan Aruch. Yesh litzatef betitis laniach tefillin with prosders or basic knesses. You should do it on the hallway in the room before you coming into shul. Yehu inyan gadol yikonas a basic knesses meuta betitis ukusa betillin, because there's a very, very great idea that when a person comes into shul with talis and tefillin, he's coming in with malachim to shul. So he should do it as long as he's not in shul yet, in the hallway somewhere, before coming into shul. With Shulchan Aruch Rabbeinu mashma she'hat tefillin mandichim bebayis gam b'cheder gam b'dor beinu umis. The Alter Rebbe writes in Shulchan Aruch, you're allowed to put on tefillin even if you are dor beinu umis, as long as there's no makom betunev. You're allowed to put on your talis and tefillin and walk to shul. Come muchtar in tefillin to shul. Ad kan Allah Yud Aleph.